FCS parents? Hopefully you guys have had a great week. It's been kind of a strange week here at Fairfield Christian School, as you can imagine, with the power outages and the decision to close the school yesterday. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. I know some of you have some questions about that, and so I wanted to discuss that process. This was a very strange situation. Many times when we decide to close the school, there are very specific things taking place, and we have solid information when we make those decisions. For example, 2 years ago when we closed the school for a couple of days because of the fires that were taking place, we had several families that had to be evacuated. The smoke was a health concern, and so we decided to close the school for a couple of days. That one was pretty clear cut. This situation was not. PG&E was not very open with the amount of information they had. They kept on saying we may shut the power off, we may not. They weren't certain. We didn't want to close the school if there was no need to close the school, and yet they wouldn't tell us definitively that they were going to shut the power off. We were told that if it went off, that the two campuses probably would be affected, but even their information on their website was not completely accurate. On the map, it showed that at my house the power was supposed to be off, but I never lost power at my house. In fact, when I checked Wednesday morning, it said online that my power was off, but it definitely was not. So I came down here early on Wednesday morning to check both campuses to see what the power situation was like, and both campuses did not have power, and that's when we made the decision to close the campuses for the day. Those were for safety reasons. Obviously, certain things are not safe. For example, in the restrooms, those are dark areas, would not be safe. Restrooms and kitchens in the home are two of the most dangerous rooms in any home, and it's the same way here. Dark restrooms are not a safe situation, especially when you've got really young children. Secondly, our communication with no power means no internet. Our communication would be compromised in terms of being able to communicate with you as parents. If some emergency did take place, our ability to communicate with emergency personnel would also be compromised. So we did not want any of those sorts of things to have an effect on the safety of the students here on campus. So we decided to close campus for the day. On top of that, as you know, 3rd grade through 12th grade, most of their curriculum is online, and again, with no internet, our curriculum is compromised. And while our teachers could have come up with things for the students to do, it would not have been a fully effective day in terms of teaching within the classroom, especially with the low light situations. Not as much natural light can get into the classrooms as we have with the light from the ceiling. In addition, on the Blossom campus, we have some interior rooms that don't even have exterior windows. So those rooms would have been dark, and overall was just not a situation that would have been safe or conducive for learning for the students. So we decided to close for the day. Obviously, in a situation where you lose power in the middle of the day, we can make accommodations for that and kind of work through that situation in the middle of the day. However, starting the day with no power, and there was no word from PG&E when the power would come back on, we decided to close the campus for the day. Quite honestly, I expected to be closed today as well, but the power came on yesterday afternoon, and word from the city of Fairfield and from PG&E was that they were not going to be affecting this area anymore. There are still people with power out across the state, but here, in terms of where we're at right now on both campuses, it was no longer going to be affected, so we decided to be open today, which is kind of difficult. You're having an extra day off, and all of a sudden coming back. The kids are a little crazy today. It's a little bit difficult with the classroom management and those sorts of things. And then, of course, we have a 4-day weekend this weekend. So we are off tomorrow, October 11th. We're all the way through October 14th. So we are off on Monday as well. And we'll be back to school here on Tuesday, October 15th. So that has also made things a little weird in that we've had a day off, come back to school for 1 day, and then a 4-day weekend. But we're kind of dealing with that. We don't want to lose days off. Another important reason to be open today is obviously we are required by both the Code of Education here in California and by the organizations that accredit us as a school to have a certain number of days of instruction throughout the school year. Now, obviously in the calendar, we build in some extra days throughout the schedule, just in case something happens, we have to close the school. But I didn't want to have today closed, especially with the power being on. And then later on in the year, who knows if we have another event like this, or we have fires, or we have bad storms where we have to close the school, then we miss more days of instruction. You miss too many days of instruction, we have to make up those days at some point by either adding days to the end of the school year, taking away holidays in the middle of the school year. You have to do something to make up those days of instruction. And so we certainly don't want to take days off if we don't need to. Thus the decision to have the school open today since the power was on. One other thing of note, I just want to make sure anytime we have a situation like this, please make sure to check with us specifically. Check our website, look out for emails from us, because we have different criteria for closing or remaining open than the public schools do. Obviously, the public schools are much larger. They're dealing with a lot more campuses and a lot more students. We are much smaller, have fewer students, so the criteria as to whether we're going to be open or closed is much different. They have different considerations they have to make than we do, and so because of that, they may make different decisions than we do. For example, Fairfield Unified School District, Fairfield Suisun Unified School District decided to be open yesterday, all of their campuses, even though many of their campuses did not have power. Where we decided to close, I know Buckingham Charter decided to close. They're actually closed for today as well, even though I believe they do have power. While Vacaville Unified School District decided to remain open. So Buckingham closed while Vacaville remained open. We decided to close while Fairfield remained open. And again, we have different criteria for making those decisions. So always make sure you check with us specifically in decisions like that to see what is going on and if we're remaining open or if we're deciding to close in any of these types of emergency situations. All right. Hope you guys have a great, nice, long weekend. This is our fall break. Hopefully the kids get some rest. They get some relaxation. Hopefully our staff does as well. Gets us recharged. It's our last big break before Thanksgiving. We've got a few solid weeks after this of pretty hardcore education going on, a lot of curriculum we have to get through over the next few weeks, but it's turning out to be a great year. By the way, today is also the end of the first quarter. 1/4 of the year is done. So teachers will be compiling grades over the next few days. Hopefully they're not spending too much time doing that over the weekend. Hopefully they've already got a lot of the grades in. Mrs. Buckner and I will be reviewing all those things next week. And then we've got parent-teacher conferences coming up the week after. So be on the lookout for that. I know some of you have already got sign-ups for those, but I'm looking forward to checking out those report cards, seeing the progress of the students and in their work, and seeing how we can get better as we move forward. All right, you guys have a great, long 4-day weekend. I will see you guys real soon. God bless.